Good evening, dear friends. We are very happy that Swami Atmajnanananda from Washington DC is with us. And this is the third session of our Centenary celebration and second day of third session. So most welcome. As discussed yesterday, that Swamiji had a special study on Vaishnavism, especially Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So today we'll start with our reading of Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, then Satsanga.
I'm reading from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna at Shampakur. Master, a man need not fear anything if he but once receives the grace of God. If but once he obtains the vision of God. If but once he attains self-knowledge. Then the 6 passions cannot do him any harm. Eternally perfect souls like Narada and Prahlada did not have to take the trouble to put blinkers on their eyes. The child who holds the father's hand while walking along the narrow balk in a paddy field may loosen his hold in a moment of carelessness and slip into the ditch. But it's quite different if the father holds the child's hand. Then the child never falls into the ditch. Doctor, but it is not proper for a father to hold the child by the hand. Master, it's not quite like that. Great sages have childlike natures. Before God, they are always like children. They have no pride. Their strength is in the strength of God, the strength of their Father. They have nothing to call their own. They are firmly convinced of that. Doctor, can you make a horse move forward without first covering its eyes with blinkers? Can one realize God without first controlling the passions? Master, what you say is according to the path of discrimination. It is known as Jnana Yoga. Through that path, too, one attains God. The Jnanis say that an aspirant must first of all purify his heart. First he needs spiritual exercises. Then he will attain knowledge. But God can also be realized through the path of devotion. Once the devotee develops love for the lotus feet of God and enjoys singing his name and attributes, he does not have to make a special effort to restrain his senses. For such a devotee, the sense organs come under his control of themselves. Suppose a man has just lost his son and is mourning his death. Can he be in a mood to quarrel with others that very day, or enjoy a feast in the house of a friend? Can he that very day show his pride before others or enjoy sense pleasures? If the moth discovers light, can it remain in darkness any longer? Doctor with a smile, of course it cannot. It would rather fly into the flame and perish. Master, oh no, that's not so. A lover of God does not burn himself to death like a moth. The light to which he rushes is like the light of a gem. That light is brilliant, no doubt, but it is also cooling and soothing. That light does not scorch his body. It gives him joy and peace. One realizes God by following the path of discrimination and knowledge, but this is an extremely difficult path. It is enough to say such things. It is easy enough to say such things as, I am not the body, mind, or intellect. I am beyond grief, disease, and sorrow. I am the embodiment of existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. I am beyond pain and pleasure. I am not under the control of the sense organs. But it is very difficult to assimilate those ideas and practice them. Suppose I see my hand cut by a thorn and blood gushing out. Then it's not right for me to say, why, my hand is not cut by the thorn. I'm all right. In order to be able to say that, I must first of all burn the thorn itself in the fire of knowledge. Many people think that they cannot have knowledge or understanding of God without reading books. But hearing is better than reading, and seeing is better than hearing. Hearing about Benares is different from reading about it, but seeing Benares is different from either seeing from hearing or reading. Those actually engaged in a game of chess do not always judge the moves on the board correctly. The onlookers many times judge the moves better than the players. Worldly people often think themselves very intelligent, but they are attached to the things of the world. They are the actual players and cannot understand their own moves correctly. But holy men who have renounced everything are unattached to the world. They are really more intelligent than worldly people, since they do not take any part in worldly life. Their position is like that of the onlookers, and so they see things more clearly.
Should I take questions, Maharaj? Yeah. Should they ask some questions? Or can you suggest something? Just to open my mouth and see what comes out. Okay. I'll say a few words about the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. That this one book is enough for an entire spiritual life. I don't think that anything else is necessary. Other things are helpful, of course. The study of Upanishads and Gita and some other texts are very, very helpful. But we get absolutely everything from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. And the story behind it is also very fascinating. When Mahendranath Gupta, who we know as M, when he first started recording everything, and when he wanted to put it in book form, he chose this title based on a verse from the Bhagavata Purana, this Gopi Gita, this Tavakatamritam Tapta Jivanam. It's a very beautiful verse. You'll hear Maharaj chant it before every reading, every night. And it was something very, very personal for M. This verse is supposed to be the words of the gopis addressed to Sri Krishna, telling him that your words are like nectar. Your words are like nectar, and we feel that when we read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, it's really just soothing. There's something, it just kind of flows over you. And this tapta jivanam, for people who are being scorched in the world, this brings fresh life to them. Now the story behind this, I'm sure most of you know this, but M was very unhappy at home. He couldn't get along with his father and his brothers, so he wanted to throughout the gospel, there's always this question, should he move back home? Should he stay outside? It's a running drama throughout the whole thing. This particular night, he was so distraught that he considered committing suicide. So his wife was to meet him. They went to, started on the journey. One of the wheels broke on the carriage that they had. They ended up with a friend who wasn't very hospitable. They ended up with relatives' family.
That day, there was some marriage.
Yes. And so anyhow, his nephew, Sidhu, who we never hear about after this at all. Very interesting. Did he ever see Sri Ramakrishna again? We don't hear anything about him. But the next day he said he saw that M was so depressed and distraught that he said, "Can I take you to a few different places just to cheer you up?" They went to some temples, gardens, and things like that. And then at the end he said, "There's a very charming temple with a garden on the banks of the Ganga with a holy man there. Let's go there." So that was the last place they went to. And this is all recorded, of course, in the first meeting with Sri Ramakrishna. But later M admits that this Tapta Jivanam was literal. He gave him his life back, that he was ready to give up his life. He was so depressed, and he met Sri Ramakrishna, and everything changed for him. So this is the backdrop of this gospel, that this tremendous sense of gratitude that M had for Sri Ramakrishna, and that ability of Sri Ramakrishna to bring life to people. So when M first went there, again, this idea of the Bhagavata came back into his mind. Because if you know the story of the Bhagavata Purana, that this king Parikshit, he was cursed and he was bitten by a snake and he only had 7 days to live. Anyhow, this Shukadeva came and recited the whole thing to him. So he said when he went there, he felt as if he were in the presence of the Shukadeva reciting these words and everything.
He was cursed.
Yeah, he had been
7
cursed.
days.
He had been cursed to be bitten by a snake, and then he would die in 7 days, something like that. Yeah. So this was the image in M's mind when he started recording all of this. And we know later that he had no intention of making this public. This was a very private, personal thing for him. Towards the end of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, we find Girish Ghosh. He said, I hear that you're writing something. Can we see it? And he says, no. He says, after my death, you can see it. Yeah. But he was part of this divine play. It was his role to record these things. It had to be published. So anyhow, that all changed after at a certain point. But Sri Ramakrishna knew the role that the different players in this drama, which we call Leela, he knew the role that they all had to play, had to perform in this Leela. And somehow he knew that the M was destined or designed or was planned, whatever, to be the one to record his words. So there are many times we read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna when M will be there. Sri Ramakrishna will say, did you hear what I said? Or there'll be times when he says, go call M. There's an interesting conversation, so that M comes back. Or he says, repeat what I said. And then 1 or 2 times he corrects him a little bit. So it seems very clear that he knew, even before M knew that he was the recorder, that Sri Ramakrishna knew. And there were times when others wanted to do it. One time, this Taravdar, who became Swami Mahapurush Maharaj, Swami Shivananda, listening very carefully. And Sri Ramakrishna said, why are you paying such attention today? And he's thinking of recording everything. And Sri Ramakrishna said, it's not for you. Someone else is designed, destined to play this role. So this, the way that M recorded this with such detail to the date and the time and every small thing. So when we read it, we know even if the Ganga is flowing north or flowing south. We know that if it's full moon or new moon, we know everything, who's in the room, where they're sitting. So
Which direction?
which direction they're sitting. So this was all meant to be a meditation. So this is the really amazing part of this gospel of Sri Krishna, that we get the direct words, we get to see him in our mind's eye in ecstasy, and we get to have a picture in our mind when we sit for meditation. We can envision all of these things. This is the importance of all of the descriptive parts. And those who know Bengali know that there are two different types of Bengali. There's a very formal literary type of Bengali, and then there's colloquial conversational Bengali. And it's such a beautiful juxtaposition of these highly poetic descriptions of the Ganga and the phase of the moon and the flowering gardens and everything, and then this very simple village speech of Sri Krishna. So it's just a work of art. And when people would go to an M, and he would, many people went to him even before they went to the direct disciples, even before going to Bellarmut. There's a Gospel of Sri Krishna, Kotamrita, that this started to become well known throughout Bengal, East Bengal also. And one good example is Swami Atmajnanananda, Holy Mother's disciple. When he went to Kolkata, the first place he wanted to go to was to visit M, because they all had such reverence for M as the author or compiler of the Gospel of Sri Krishna. So many of them went to him, and he always told them, go to Dakshineshwar, go to Bellarmut. See, there was kind of division during the lifetime of Swami Krishna and after the passing between the householder disciples and the monastic disciples. There's some slight difference of opinion and different views, and there's one side was Ramchandra Datta, who was Swamiji's relative, close relative. In fact, he grew up in the same house as Swamiji, but they had a little different opinion. And this Ram became a kind of a guru and had his own disciples and followers and everything. And some of those who were students of M were connected with Ram. So there's M, he said, yes, he's wonderful, everything's great, but if you really want to understand Sri Krishna, then you go, at that time, Bharanagamat, and then you go and meet the direct disciples, monastic disciples. So he was always almost, you could say, on the side of the direct disciples in these little disputes like that. So those who went to him, he would very often say, have you been to Dakshineshwar? And if they said no in his younger days, he would say, let's go. And they would go together. He'd be a tour guide. And he would tell them that, remember exactly what took place on this particular day, where Sri Ramakrishna was sitting, who was in the room, what direction he's facing. Look on the walls, look at all the pictures on the wall. Try to etch these things in your memory so that when you sit for meditation, you can bring these pictures back into your mind and be sitting with him in meditation at that time. When M was older, he would send them there, and he'd say, come back and give me a report. Tell me what you saw. Yeah. Go to the Panchavati and remember all the sadhana. Go to the bell tree. So this Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, it's something living. If we really make this a very important part of our spiritual practice, it starts to come alive. The very nice tradition in the Vaishnava tradition that this play of Sri Krishna in Vrindavan is an eternal play. This Nitya Leela, it's going on even today. So we can have that same feeling that all we have to do, we close our eyes and we transport ourselves back into time and cover that distance from here to Dakshineshwar, and Thakur is there with all the direct disciples and with those nectar-like words, and we can participate in that. So this is called as Leela Dhyana. And
করেন লীলা
Mm.
গোরা রায়
Mm.
কোনো কোনো ভাগ্যবাণী দেখিবারে পায়।
So they can see it. These people, every once in a while there'll be someone who's very fortunate, receives the blessings of God. They can see this lila going on. Yeah, as if directly with their own eyes. So this is the beauty of this gospel of Swami Krishna. It's not just that we get these teachings, and these teachings are something amazing. How he can remove all of the contradictions, all of the points of argument between the different schools of Vedanta, different religions, and harmonize everything and explain everything so simply. And one of the most important things is that he lets us know at the very outset what we're capable of understanding and what we should just leave aside. This is mother's play. It's beyond my ability to understand it. I won't waste my time with all of that. Let the philosophers argue about that. And to emphasize the spiritual practice, to emphasize this direct experience, and doing everything so simply and so sweetly. Then, to emphasize a particular point, he'll sing a song. So this is another very special feature, that he'll reinforce that idea. Most of the songs were, or at least a good portion of them, were these Shakta songs, Ram Prasad, Kamalakanta, the songs to the Divine Mother. And as Ram Prasad, he also played a very important role in the life of Swami Krishna. He was the ideal. He was the ideal because he had many times direct vision of Mother Kali. His whole life was dedicated to Mother Kali. So he used to pray that, Mother, you revealed yourself to Ram Prasad. Why won't you reveal yourself to me? So there's we'll get these songs which will put kind of a stamp on the particular teaching that he's trying to make. And he'll introduce a particular teaching with a line from a song, then he'll sing the song. And then sometimes he'll get up and he'll dance, and it'll go into ecstasy, and we can picture this. So when we read this gospel of Swami Krishna, we should really try to use our imagination and picture all of this. Now, one great help is we have to go there, to Dakshineshwar. Yes. See, most of us who grew up in the West and came to this tradition, not from being in India, most of us have read the gospel and maybe read it many times before going to Dakshineshwar and seeing where it took place, right? Yeah. Is that true?
It's good also, because ideal is in the mind.
Yeah, but I did it the other way.
Okay.
I went to Dakshineshwar first. And so when I first read, the first time I read it, and I see that Thakur is sitting on the small couch facing north, I knew I could picture the whole thing. Yeah. So anyhow, both ways are good. Yeah, it's just the imagination, but it's very helpful to go there because it becomes real. Then we really know these events took place. They really happened. And as I say, if it's present in our mind and present in our hearts, then we can feel that it's taking place. Anytime we want to go there, we just, click our heels. And we can go there. We close our eyes and we can feel, we can be sitting in Thakur's room, and just in front of him. And
Only thing we miss one thing. Sometimes Sri Ramakrishna would come and touch.
Yes, yeah. So, but this is all the positive use of the imagination. It's a very important part of spiritual practice, meditation. That Swami Turiyananda, he used to say, today's imagination is tomorrow's realization. Yeah. And we have from the Ishopanishad, this Ishavasyam idam sarvam, we should cover everything. Everything that we see and everything we do in this world, we have to bring in this idea of divinity into that. So we bring in that divine presence. We feel that presence of Sri Ramakrishna within everything, and so this gospel of Sri Ramakrishna really, to me, especially personally, the beginning of my spiritual life, I became addicted to reading this book. Yes.
So can I ask a question now?
Yes, just so there's no paradox involved. No, that's a personal thing. Yeah, sorry. No. Okay.
So, you mentioned Ramprasad and the reading of Ramprasad. And Ramprasad is known for saying, Mother, come find me. You're never. And then Ramakrishna mirrors that by saying, Ramprasad, you found him, but not me. So there's something in not being found by Mother, seeking Mother, not being found by Mother. Can you talk about that relationship? I don't know, maybe not a relationship, but because I find Ramprasad incredibly moving, and I can just read it side by side, anything with Ramakrishna, and they just go together.
Okay.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah. This two phases of spiritual life. One is called this vyakulata, this tremendous longing for God, feeling of the absence of God, feeling miserable that one hasn't realized God, a type of agony, and this joy of union with God, or vision of God, or realization of God. And I'll go back to this Vaishnava tradition for a minute.
Yes.
This is exemplified in the life of Radha. So this one mood is called this viraha bhava, separation. So when she's stuck at home and she can't sneak out, and missing her childhood friend is Krishna and everything, mind is so fully engaged in the thought of Krishna that nothing else can enter into it. This is called viraha bhava, and the tremendous longing to see him, followed by milana bhava, this state of union. And according to some Vaishnava traditions, this state of longing is greater than this state of union. That to long for something, we get something and say, okay, good, no big deal. But before we get it, we think, how I would love to have that and everything. So anyhow, so in the life of Swami Krishna, we find that there's no better example of this vyakulata. This vyakulata was the one thing that Swami Krishna said is absolutely necessary for God realization on any path. See, we look at the life of Buddha. He didn't care for a mother, a personal God or anything, but had tremendous longing for the realization of the truth, and this feeling of agony at leading a life of ignorance, not knowing the value of things and why the suffering in the world and everything. So on every path, he emphasizes that the more we can long for God, or long for realization, or self-realization, or truth, then the greater our ability to experience that. So these two things go hand in hand, and we can even say this vairagya and anuraga. These are two things that Thakur talks about, that this tremendous dispassion for the world and this tremendous love for God, or longing for God. So when Thakur gives his illustration, his famous illustration he gives for this vyakulata, you know the story. The disciple says to the guru, what kind of longing does one have to realize God? So he takes him to the nearby pond and pushes his head underwater until the disciple feels like he's about to die, and finally forces his head up, and Guru lets go, and he says, how did you feel? So if you look very carefully at what he says, you'll find there are two things. One, I felt I was about to die. Number two, I was longing for a breath of air. The first one is vairagya, that I feel I'm drowning in this world. There's something painful about living in this agonizing this life of Swamiji says in one place, calling things by the wrong names, telling lies, that everything false, and longing for something deeper and real and eternal and everything. So this vairagya, this great dispassion, and on the other hand, longing for a breath of air. If it's simply that we're tired of this life and everything, we can just be escapists. We can just have lost our zeal and zest for life. But if this other side of it, that longing for a breath of air, knowing that realization is there. So these are these two things. Thakur says this vairagya is by itself is not enough. It has to be accompanied by this anuraga, that this tremendous longing, love for God from the personal point of view, or longing for truth. So that's why these illustrations are so important and why we have to think very deeply. Swamiji once said to one of his friends, might have been Sharat Mother, I don't remember, no. Thakur's words are so deep that you take any one of its sayings and you could talk for a full day about it. So they challenged him. Yeah, Sharat Mother challenged him. He went on for 3 full days. Just on one. So really, deceptively simple words of Sri Ramakrishna. we really have to go very deep into them. And everything he said was based on his own experience. Not that it was all original, because he always gave credit to other people. I heard this from Vaishnav Chara, and I heard this from
Nanak's disciple.
Yes. So these young sadhu from Rishikesh. I heard this from Tarayanga Swami, that he used to say this. Yeah, but it was all his own. He had the direct experience of the truth of all of these things. So that's why if anybody asked me any type of question, I say, read the Gospel of Swami Krishna. One of our great sadhus, I think it was Swami Shankaranandaji, that so anyone would ask him a question, and he'd say, have you read the Gospel of Swami Krishna? They said, yes. And he said, if you didn't get the answer from that, then I won't be able to give you the answer. Yeah. And if you haven't read it, then read it. You'll get the answer there. He liked to avoid questions. So, yeah. So.
And Madhavananji always used to read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna in later days.
Many. Swami Geetanandaji, every night he had a small little class in his room that people would sit with him. And of course, yeah, most of our sadhus will say, this is not anything original with me, that the value of that book is just incalculable. It's just such a matter of grace that we have that, and grace that we live so close in time to Sri Ramakrishna, the direct disciples, and especially this center. How many had the touch of Swami Asheshanandaji, Holy Mother's disciple? This center is blessed, especially blessed because of that.
And his examples are also very simple. Like, walking by the bulk and the child just eat of it. Any other questions?
Yeah, questions are good. If
Yes,
anybody
Suji?
would like to ask anything.
Let me think something.
It came to my mind that Swami Sheshananda, was the hidden powerhouse, as Joseph Campbell called him, the hidden powerhouse.
Only hidden?
Huh?
Not expressed?
He was hidden from a lot of people.
Oh.
Even people who came, because of the way he presented himself.
But Swami Chaitananji said that he was, manifested in a powerhouse.
Oh, yeah, well, see, he had
He liked him very much.
But when I came to this thought about Sheshananda is that he is the disciple of an avatar. His Holy Mother is Ramakrishna. And here we had a direct disciple of an avatar running the center before you. Think about it. Think about that now.
Not only that, you can imagine the hands that touched the feet of Holy Mother, touched on many people of this place. They are so blessed. The same hand. So direct disciple.
Yes.
Could you give us a little bit of inspiration around, we talked about covering the world with divinity. Could you give us some more inspiration in our daily lives, some ways we can make that stronger?
Yeah, bringing this idea of the sacred into everything. We get this, of course, from the Bhagavad Gita, also this idea. And Swamiji, how much Swamiji emphasized that everything we do, we should consider it to be worship. And we can use our imagination, that anything that we cook, the Thakur will enjoy that food. Or a Holy Mother. Yeah, actually, whenever I say Sri Ramakrishna, I mean Holy Mother also. Because I also feel that you can't separate the two sides of the same coin. So if we do everything, either everything as an offering or everything as worship, bringing that idea of divinity, it's especially helpful dealing with other people. That really feeling that we're looking at God dwelling within, that the light that's shining out of the eyes of everyone is that divine light, that consciousness is not anyone's individual consciousness. This is that sun of knowledge, the divine light that's shining through everyone, and to be able to help another person is a great privilege, that this is a type of worship, and to feel is a great blessing to be able to do that. And just to try to perform everything as worship, bringing that idea that everything is divine, that this whole universe is a manifestation, that this is Mother herself in manifest form. We have another beautiful Ram Prasad song, that see Mother everywhere. When you lie down on your bed at night, feel you're making prostration to Mother.
Whatever you listen, that is Shabi Mayer mantra.
Words of the mantra.
All the mantras.
Yeah. When you walk around the city, feel that you're doing this circumambulation, pradakshina, of Mother herself. It's all bringing that idea into the mind. Going to sleep, when we take food, we're feeding Mother inside. When we sleep, we're meditating on Mother. So bringing this idea that everything we see is a manifestation of this divine Shakti, this divine power. And to feel that same divine power dwells within us, dwells within all beings. Then it changes the way we relate to people and the feelings that we have. And really everything becomes a kind of blessing if we can live like that.
Ishavasya Idagam Sarvam, that is to cover the whole world by God. But actually here, discover. We have to discover God, that everything is being done by Him. Everything is happening by His will.
See, we cover everything with God because we don't know that God is already within everything. It's, again, a paradox. Yeah. That many people, they don't like that idea. Why? Cover everything with... Many people actually translate that differently. Everything is covered with God. But literally it means should be. It means we ourselves, instead of just seeing a table here, we have to bring in, superimpose a layer of divinity on it, which will allow us to see that it really is divine. So today's imagination, tomorrow's realization, that type of idea. Because otherwise we'll see things with the eyes, through the eyes of materialism. So we have to keep reminding ourselves and telling, this was another thing that Swamiji stressed. We call it now affirmations today. But tell yourself over and over and over again that I am one with that reality. Until you feel it coursing through your veins. And they're beautiful, very powerful statements that he makes. So we have to keep reminding ourselves and telling ourselves until it becomes second nature, then we automatically see the world that way.
Swami, can you say this? You mentioned paradox. Now I have lots of questions. And particularly this thing of this affirmation thing. It's actually very current.
Yes, yes.
Very current in today's society.
Yes, yes.
Deeply. And so much is growing from it. So I'm concerned about that, wanting to hear more about that. And just as an aside, I also mentioned last night that you found your early PhD work. You got through it, you wanted to go, you wanted to be a monk, so you did that. And then he said, but now you're finding more in it, in your early works, and how it relates to your life now and your life with Ramakrishna and the order. Can you talk more about those things, and if you can slip in the thing about this whole kind of, the word affirmation and that whole thing?
Yeah, affirmation, it can't simply be something that is on our wish list. We would like it to be that way. And it has to be something that's actual or at least we feel that this is the truth. So it's not like we're just trying to imagine something that's not true or not real and hope that it takes place. It has to be something that we're convinced is actual truth by these great souls who have realized it. So
The problem, Swami, is people are using that and they're saying, my great truth is I want more.
yes,
I want fighting.
that's why I say the content of this affirmation is critical. It can't be just with anything. That I don't want to talk about it anything negative about other traditions, but there are people who do this chanting that whatever they want, they'll get. So they'll stand up and say, yes, I did this chanting and I wanted a new refrigerator. And some miraculously, somehow I got it. Yeah. That's not what I mean by an affirmation. That you may say is some type of...
Well, that's the gross example of it. It has
Yes.
some little example,
Yes.
but it's really the same as that.
Yeah. Yeah. But for Swamiji, and with this Ishavasya, this particular verse, it has to be that we're constantly repeating and telling ourselves something which we will ultimately realize was true from the very beginning, even when we didn't realize it. Yeah. So this is really the path of knowledge, that we start out as Tattvamasi. So it's, I am that. Am I really that? And they said, you keep telling yourselves, oh, there's a very nice story. There was one forest of forgetfulness. There was one king that he went, I don't remember all the details, but anyhow, he went hunting. Yeah, he went out hunting and he fell off his horse and he had some amnesia and didn't know what to do or where he was. And anyhow, he somehow dressed himself up like a simple hunter and lived in that forest. It says the hunter forgot that he was a king. And everybody was wondering what happened to the king, what happened to him. And people saw he was the king and that he was there. And nobody knew what to do. So one very wise person, he went to him and he said that, why not keep telling yourself, I am the king? So he said, why will I do that? Just do it. Something. So as he was doing it, little by little that memory came back. And he remembered, oh, I am the king. So it comes like that. So it's an affirmation. It's not that anybody else could have done it, but because he really was the king. So that affirmation could work with him. So if it's somebody else, a doctor, a tailor, something like that, that it's not going to work with him. Their amnesia, if it breaks, it'll be whatever they were before. So yeah.
The story of the cub.
Yes. Actually, it comes as a lion and a sheep with Swamiji and a goat and a tiger with Swami Krishna. Anyhow, so the mother tiger is pregnant with a little baby, and she goes to attack some goats. And as she does it, the baby is born and she dies. And so the goat is raised by all of the others, and or as Swamiji says, the sheep. And so the sheep learns to live on grass and to bleed like the other sheep. And one time another, we'll say lion, comes in and sees this lion cub living with the sheep and bleeding like that, and I can't imagine what it is. So it catches them, this little baby cub who thinks it's a sheep, and says, "You're what are you doing? Bleeding like a sheep? You're a lion." So what does it do? He says, "Bah, bah." And he says, "No, and he says, "Come with me." And then he takes it to the side of the lake, and he says, "Look at your image there. You'll see that it's the same as mine." That and then it doesn't believe. Then he gives a little bit of meat, and he gets a little taste of it. And then the little cub, he roars and goes off. Now he knows that he's also a lion. Yeah. So it had to be that he's really a lion, or it wouldn't have worked.
I understand.
So
what
that's
you're
the key.
saying, and I get that. I understand it. It's just that it seems to be abused a lot.
Yeah.
For people who aren't lions at all, and they're
Yeah.
because of whatever reason they can put on all this fakery and say
Yes.
I'm a lion, but they're still not a lion.
Yes, right, yeah.
In Bhagavad Gita, there is a shloka. Yomam pashyati sarvatram sarvam cha mayi pashyati. He who sees me everywhere, in everything, in me. I do not destroy him, neither he destroys me. Neither I obliterate him, nor he is obliterated. So this is, we have to try to see this, that everywhere it is he. Yomam pashyati sarvatram sarvam cha mayi pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sachamena pranashyati. So, yes, go ahead.
Oh, on this topic of affirmations, Swamiji, I was thinking of Swami Vivekananda
Mm.
and how he talks so much about developing strength and our character and our virtues.
Mm.
And I thought maybe you could remind us of some of those like really strong words of Swami Vivekananda that we could potentially take on as affirmations. Like, I don't know if this is correct, but my memory says it's something like, my body is strong, my mind is strong, I have faith and belief in myself, something along those lines.
Mm.
But I think Swami Vivekananda gives us these types of truths.
Somebody compiled all of those statements of Swamiji, and it's a little booklet called Thoughts of Power. Fantastic. It's something, yeah, you have it here. You can just keep it with you, and every once in a while just read. These are the most powerful things. Actually, what brought me into the spiritual life was the little book, Teachings of Swami Vivekananda. And there's some special little chapters on strength, and fearlessness and things like that. And just very, very powerful. Very powerful, yeah.
May I
Yes.
share something?
Yes.
Swami Atmajnananda, my guru,
Ah.
one time he said to me, no doubt he said it to a lot of people, but he said to me, nothing matters, always based on an intention, which led me to self-reflection,
Huh.
self-analysis. So if there wasn't any affirmation, I know that has to come from a pure mind.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is a purity of the mind and the heart, that affirmation will come true because already is true. Because that is,
Yes.
because it's based on the intention.
Uh-huh.
That's how I look at the things that of the higher level
Mm-hmm.
translates to, because there is no separation.
Mm-hmm.
So in that oneness, if there is no lacking either. So the affirmation for a refrigerator, it won't be there.
No.
It would be, again, for devotion, for
Yeah.
purity of mind,
Yeah.
for the higher awareness of how to be a better human being.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that's how I'm translating that.
Yeah, yeah.
Understanding.
Elizabeth?
Oh. Yeah, we talked about Holy Mother last night. Yeah. Yeah, Holy Mother. Nothing that she said or teachings were different from Sri Ramakrishna's, but the emphasis was a little different. Was more practical, and I think she gave us lessons that will allow us to live life in a very full way, without even worrying about God realization. That she would emphasize things like forbearance. And she made one beautiful statement, that there's no greater virtue than forbearance, and there's no greater treasure than contentment. Yeah. So if we look at her life and we see how she lived that type of life, she didn't care much for too much philosophy and too much fancy talk and everything, but she really emphasized loving everyone, feeling oneness with everyone. See, Sri Ramakrishna, he could talk about that no one is your own, God alone is your own. It's not contradicting what Holy Mother said. It's looking at it from the other side. Yes, God is our very own, but God dwells within all beings. To feel this sense of oneness. And of course, her final message is something that we repeat over and over again and then don't follow. Yeah, that we're always finding fault with other people and assuming that we're perfect. Yeah, and the first part of that, which we also seem to forget sometimes, is that she's not saying this as some type of moral imperative. She's saying, if you want peace of mind, if you want to be happy in this lifetime, yeah, then you have to learn this truth, that stop finding fault with other people, that if you have to find fault, not that we should spend our whole time looking for faults within ourselves, but if we feel that tendency to find fault, then we can find faults within ourselves, and then no one is a stranger, that everyone is our very own, and learn to make the whole world our own. So another affirmation. So the truth is everyone is our own, but we have to, again, keep telling ourselves that, and living that, and making that real in our lifetime. There was an incident with the one devotee in Swami Atmajnanananda, where the devotee asked him, how do we see God dwelling in all the beings? How do we learn to see God dwelling in all beings? And he said, by seeing God in all beings. Huh? Yeah, just do it. Don't ask for any big philosophical explanation.
And
Just every time you see, tell yourself, yes, there's God dwelling within.
Swami said, not to seek, see it.
Yes, don't seek God, see God.
See God.
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
I struggle.
Oh.
I struggle with finding that in people who have committed physical violence towards their worldly life, you have the right thing.
Yeah, this is a confusion that we very often make, that when we see God dwelling within, that we have to distinguish between that light of consciousness, which is illuminating the mind of the individual, and that mind itself, which may be filled with the violence and rajas and tamas and everything. So the individual that we're looking at may be such that the divinity within is almost hidden. It's very hard to see any divine light within people. If we think of a lamp and a lampshade, that lampshade can be so opaque and dark that we can barely see the light shining, but the same light is shining. That is always there. But what we're saying is that these people are violent, this and that. That's the covering. That's the covering. It doesn't affect that light within. So this divinity in a saint, this divinity will illumine and infuse that goodness into the mind. And in everybody else, there'll be different degrees. It'll allow this mind to function sometimes in a very nasty way, sometimes in a very sweet and loving way. But it's the same light, divine light of consciousness, that's illuminating the mind of everyone and dwelling within as the real self of everyone. Yeah, see God with, so, Thakur said God also dwells in the tiger, but we don't embrace the tiger for that reason. Yes.
On the topic of the paradox, you could talk a little bit about how we want to have that yearning, that affirmation, but on the other hand, the self chooses, like a part of grace, like we can't really, we have that yearning or affirmation unless we have God's grace and He chooses us, so to speak, as they say. So how do you
Yes. Yeah. See, this longing for liberation is considered grace. See, with Shankaracharya, where he begins his Viveka Chudamani, he talks about different types of grace, that even taking human birth, that we have to feel that the grace of God, that human birth at this particular time, and having holy company, and coming into the within this divine realm of Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, that's grace. Yeah. And having a spiritual teacher, having a guru, that's also grace. But this longing for liberation or for truth or realization, mumukshutvam, this is also grace, he says. So we can't claim any special privilege that we did anything, and that we don't know why. We could have been born any other time, we could have been born, but so we take that as a type of grace. And then it's up to us. That's the preliminary type of grace. Because Thakur also, he used to recite a song, like again, a Vaishnava song. You may have the grace of God, the grace of the Guru, the grace of the devotee, the Vaishnava, without the grace of that one, without the grace of the mind. Yeah. So now that means that we have to do everything. And he used to recite another song that says, the Guru gives you the montur. Montur means mantra.
Yeah,
Montur, it also means tormon. It also means now everything is up to your mind. A little play on words.
Yeah.
Mon, tur, it's a
Mantra.
colloquial way of saying mantra, and turmon means your mind. Yeah, so now everything is up to you.
Atma Kripa.
Yeah. Yeah, so we need that, the grace of the mind. Yeah, but that also takes self-effort, that we have to observe the mind. And when we see going in the other direction, when we speak, also there's always a struggle. There's always the pull towards the old mind and towards enjoyment and everything. And so this shreyas and prayas, well, this is a type of spiritual practice that involves tremendous self-effort, self-examination, that Yama tells Nachiketa, you'll be faced every step in life with a choice between what's easy and nice and sweet. It may not be nasty or wrong, but it's not the highest thing. It's not what will take you to something greater. So we have to take personal responsibility for that. So grace is there, self-effort is also there. Yeah, we have to have that feeling that we can't waste the grace that we've been given. We have to use all of the effort possible in order to put that to use and have that realization. We have to raise the sail. It's not easy. It's a very heavy sail. And we do all that hard work, then the breeze of grace will take us the rest of the way. So you see how Thakur, these very difficult questions of self-effort and grace, how easily he explains these things. Yeah, beautifully.
Swami, she mentioned the word paradox again. I mean, obviously, I think it's not just me, you know, for raising that sail, but that there is intention. But there's also the paradox of intention is there. You intend to raise a sail, but you don't know the wind's going to blow. You have to raise it, and you do that consciously. You raise it, not knowing the wind's going to come up or not. That's the only way you're going to find a wind or not. But it's not like you can say, "Oh, go raise the sail." It doesn't automatically mean you get anywhere. That might be it. You might be not be any wind. You're going to be in the doldrums forever.
Yeah, we can say that, but
I'm not trying to be pessimistic.
No,
I'm
no.
just saying.
But one of the most important elements in spiritual life is something called Shraddha. And Shraddha means that when we're told that you do this, you raise a sail, we'll be told, Sri Ramakrishna will say, there's not a question about it, that the winds of grace are always blowing. And so sometimes, yeah, it may not be logical, we may not understand it, but we act on that faith, that type of Shraddha, that it's not like jumping off a cliff at night. That we've seen. This is why the Holy Company is so important. Why does Thakur always talk about Holy Company? We have to see somebody who has done these things and gotten the results of it. And I don't mean God realization. That's a very rare thing. But if we see somebody who's led a spiritual life and they've attained to some state of peace and calmness and contentment in life and joy in life, then we can be convinced that we can also do that. If we have God realization, then that's grace. That's grace. That we can't count on. We can count on it at the end of life maybe, but not before that. But we know that the fruits will come. If we lead that type of life, that this inner transformation will take place. And this inner transformation is the one thing we can count on. We can't count on having the vision of Mother Kali. That we can't count on that. We can hope for that and long for that, but we can count on transformation. We can count on really redefining ourselves and being able to lead a life of joy and contentment and equanimity and all of the things we read about in Gita and other things.
You talk about the virtue of patience and perseverance.
Gee, there are two things. Again, this is a great paradox. That we're told that we want to say, no, I want to realize God this very moment. And at the same time, I'm willing to wait forever, however long it takes. That with patience and everything. That Swamiji says once that it's like being told that you have to drain the ocean of all the water by using a blade of grass. How long will that take? Huh? But each time we do it, we're that much closer. Or it gives the example of the two sadhus. The Nada that's going there, and as many leaves on the tree, how quickly it'll go. Yeah. So we need both. We need some feeling of urgency, some longing, and at the same time, we have to know that no matter how much longing that we have, there's no guarantee it's going to come the next minute. It's not like we can be like Thakur and reach for the sword, and then have the vision of Mother Kali. Yeah. So we need both. We have to have tremendous determination and patience, both. So the day after day after day after day. But it won't work if it's like chewing pebbles. It won't work if it's taking bitter medicine. We have to love our spiritual practice. We have to develop the feeling of joy, that we don't want to miss it, that it's what makes life worth living and fulfilling. Then we're not even so goal-oriented with that. That this becomes part of our own life. This is our spiritual practice. Otherwise, people will give up after a while. If they feel I'm not getting anything out of it, then why bother doing it? And so we have to feel that some joy is there in spiritual practice. Yes. It means being able to put up with things that we're unable to change. If there are certain situations, say she had family problems. She had brothers who were very jealous of her. She had nieces that were half mad. And just family situations and things that were just extremely difficult. And to be able to put up with those things cheerfully, without complaining, and without trying to fix everything. Now, if we can easily fix something, we'll do it, of course. But if we have, we're told we have some incurable disease. So then we say, okay, if it's incurable, then I accept it. And I won't let that affect my state of mind. I'll be cheerful. So this ability to put up with any... We have one verse that we all quote from this Vivekachudamani.
Sahanam.
Yeah, Sahanam Sarva Dukhanam. So we put up with all types of difficult situations. Aparatikara without trying to fix and change everything. See, in the West especially, that the first thing we want to do is change it. Swamiji said in one place that the West has mastered this ability to fix everything, and in the East we've mastered this ability to put up with everything. Yeah. So it's a little bit of each. Yeah.
Not to worry.
Yeah. So we have this the serenity prayer. You know the serenity prayer that, oh Lord, give me the ability to change the thing I can and accept the things that I can, and the knowledge to know the difference. Something like that. So if there are things that life will throw things at us, we'll get old, we'll have aches and pains. We can do whatever we want, go to the doctors day and night. There's things that are unavoidable. So being able to just forbear, to just accept, surrender to that, not let it ruin our lives, and to not worry about it, chinta, and not complain about it, vilapa. This is rahitam. This is called satitiksha niganjite. This is the definition that they give for forbearance. So we see that, especially in the life of Holy Mother, how she could put up with all of these things. Swami Swananji used to tell a story that there was a man, he had a very painful medical condition. He went to all the different doctors and he tried everything to get it fixed, and no one was able to do anything. So finally he went to a fortune teller. And he goes to this fortune teller and explains the whole situation, and he says, how many more years do I have to suffer with this? So the fortune teller, she looks into her crystal ball, and she says, 10 more years. He says, oh, and he says, and after that you'll get used to it. He used to tell that story. Yeah, Swamiji. He told it many, many times, that story. So, yeah, the ability to just put up with difficult situations without getting angry, without getting upset, without worrying about it day and night. Oh, what will happen? What will happen? We'll all die one day. Yeah. So that's what they call forbearance.
And in Bengali there is a proverb, Je shy, she roy.
No.
He who forbears,
Yes.
he remains.
Yes.
He who does not get destroyed.
Je na
Je
shoy.
shy,
Yeah.
she
Je
roy. Je na shy, tar
Na
nash.
shoy. Yeah. The
And-
little play on words. Holy Mother used to repeat that also. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
see, in
Yeah.
English also there is a saying, no pain, no gain. So we have to go through pain.
Yeah.
And this life itself, sarvam dukkham vai vivekina.
Yeah.
For a discriminating person, whatever we are experiencing, it's all suffering. Then only we can get rid of it. So this we have to understand that even whatever we say joy, that's also kind of suffering.
Yeah. Holy Mother said, learn to see the grace of God in suffering.
See, mother.
But even if we don't bring that in, just this ability to just not be moved, not be swayed, not be overcome by all types of physical things and also grief. This forbearance is very important when we lose loved ones also. How sometimes we're just crushed by it. There's that ability to go on and be strong, and somehow to have this pillar to hold on to, so we don't fall.
So pain
Yeah.
body. You
Yeah.
say it's like this, sometimes suppose it's very hot. So hot, what to do? We have to forbear.
Yeah.
But people say, oh, very hot, I cannot survive. So the secondary effect is more troublesome.
Yeah.
If you say, it's hot, that's okay. In Lucknow, 45 degrees Celsius means about 116 Fahrenheit. So a gentleman said, oh, it is too hot. I said, oh, very wonderful hot. So it's like this. Secondary effect is more troublesome. And we can forbear the primary, and then we can avoid the secondary one.
Yeah, they say misery is unavoidable, suffering is optional, something like that. Yeah, that we have to choose to suffer along with it. Yeah, there's one verse that says, why will one suffer along with the suffering of the body? This says jwara, with this fever of the body. If one knows the truth about the real nature of the self, then what purpose is there in that? Body is suffering, why should I suffer along with it? Yeah. So that's all these are parts of forbearance, this titiksha.
Swamiji, along those lines, what should we do with our misery?
Yeah, everything, it depends. There's no single answer to any of these things. Some people like to say, it's my karma. Okay, so this is one way that we can deal with these things, that I can't blame anybody else or God or circumstance. It's my own karma. Then some people will say that the mother's will, and that for some unexplainable reason, that the mother wants me to go through this because it'll be good for me. Then, there are all different ways, depending on our spiritual outlook, that we can deal with these things. Other people will just say, if it's unavoidable, and then why worry about it? Or take a long view, that this will pass. I've gone through so many things in my lifetime, at the time seemed like the end of the world, and now I look back and say it wasn't such a big deal. This too shall pass. Yeah, a very brilliant Yes,
And
statement.
somebody can witness also, like Swami Turiyanandaji.
Mm-hmm.
So even the doctor wanted to have operation, and he said, okay, you do, because he was alert. Next day he wanted to clean, and he shouted. So he could witness what is happening in the body. It's not me, but it's not for everybody to understand that.
Yeah, this is another attitude. You can take, who am I? I'm the witness of all these changes within the body and the mind. I am the observer. I'm not affected by any of that. To take the attitude that I am the witness, the observer. These things work for some people, and we have to find out what works for us. That's all. Yeah, yeah.
What about like acute pain? Like I've only experienced it, hopefully, once, but the pain was so acute that I couldn't think of anything, and even meditating was even more painful. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. So then you have to take some medication or something.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
if
watched
possible.
Stupid TV and it
Yeah.
actually distracted me. and it
Yeah, no,
got-
sometimes we just have to get through it, yeah. You know, I once thought that if I'm the witness, then I can just observe all of this. I tried to do it at the dentist one time. And it was impossible. But finally I said, no, give me Novocaine. I couldn't do it, yeah, yeah.
I had that same experience, Swami, at
Yeah.
the dentist, but it's the most acute pain I ever felt.
Yeah,
But it was only the point where he put the syringe, you know, with the
right,
medication
yeah,
in through the nerve,
Uh-huh.
and for that instant,
yeah,
it was an instant,
right,
but it was the most pain I'd ever felt.
Yeah,
So it was
yeah.
interesting that
yeah,
because I do that at the dentist for most things, just
Yeah.
as a practice, and it's fine. Most things are fine.
yeah.
So-
I can't do it,
But it's not like, I've done it for many, many, many years.
Yeah.
So now, you know.
yeah. No, I just don't go to the dentist anymore.
You know, I go to the ophthalmologist. What she does,
Ah.
so first she injects a little one, so it's a like pinprick,
Yeah.
and then she pushes that
The Novocaine.
injection.
Yeah, first they numb it up and then they give the injection, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the devotees in Hollywood asked Prabhupada, they didn't think it was appropriate for a devotee to take the pain.
Oh, uh-huh.
And then Prabhupada just right away said, so is it easier to think of God with the pain?
Yeah, right, yeah. So, yeah, so this tatiksha, it's too much for most people to say, no, I won't try to change anything. If we can easily change something or take some pain medicine, then we should do it. We shouldn't be heroes that way.
But physical pain can be, mitigated
Hmm.
by injection or whatever. But mental pain,
Mental
that
pain is
worries more.
much more difficult.
That
Yes,
is why
much
the
more
forbearance
difficult.
comes.
That's much more difficult, yes.
And people cannot get rid of, say 10 years back, say 20 years back, 50 years back. So that holds it. So like they embrace that one. So it's pain body. So embracing pain body. So actually, that there is the example. Raman Maharshi's, it is, Raman Maharshi. He said, if you travel, what do? You have some luggage. Do you put on your head while traveling by, say, train? Now here plane. Do you put on your head? No. You put it side or in the bunk. Right? So we have pain. We have to get rid of it.
Yeah, let it go.
Put in the bunk.
Let it go.
Then no problem. People will tell you crazy if you put on your head. But we carry on our head for 50, say 30, 40, 50 years. So it is because we think that we cannot get rid of it. But if we take the name of God, then all the pain is put in the bunk. See, when we travel, we wholly depend on the pilot. We submit ourselves. Not only the things that I carry, even we submit ourselves to the pilot. And we have two great pilots, Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother. So if we put to them, we submit ourselves to them, then they'll take care of it. Right? So that's it. So you can say forbearance, you can say get rid of it. Not to carry on your head.
Yeah.
But if you're doing the spiritual practice, how can they work together? Or can
I think Sri Ramakrishna gives the best illustration with this ego, that if the jnani will say that it's not real, that there's only this pure consciousness, and the bhakta will say yes. Actually, the dualist will say it's real. Sri Ramakrishna will say it's not ultimately real, but you can get rid of it. You accept the fact of it, maybe not the reality of it, the fact of it, which allows you to form a relationship with God, and to feel that this relationship can ultimately lead to union and oneness. And so his bhakti yoga, his path of devotion, is grounded in jnana yoga, it's grounded in oneness. So I'll talk about this a little bit tomorrow also, with this idea of this cooling effect that makes the water form into blocks of ice, that allows a devotional relationship, and still that ice is nothing but the ocean itself, and the sun of knowledge comes up and it goes back. So for him, it's the practical element of bhakti yoga and this devotional path that is the essential thing, and not, see, most teachers of bhakti were dualists. And they say ultimately there will always be a distinction between the individual soul and the Supreme Soul and God. For Sri Ramakrishna and Swamiji, of course, Holy Mother, that this was just recognizing the fact that this feeling of I doesn't leave us, and it allows us to feel that divine presence within is God dwelling within. See, we have this idea of this antaryaman. There's antaryaman and sakshan. We have two things. One, that the pure consciousness within is the impersonal observer, the real self within, and the devotee will say, this is the Ishvara, this is the personal God dwelling within the heart, guiding us and everything, because that sense of ego is there and separate. So it's one phenomenon, or one reality, looked at from two different points of view. So ultimately there's no contradiction between that understanding of Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga, at least for my point of view.
Yeah, and see, like Sri Ramakrishna said, if it does not go, the ego does not go, let rascal be a servant ego.
Yes, yeah,
or devotee's ego.
yeah,
So let it be like that.
yeah. That's one of the really wonderful features for Sri Ramakrishna, that he can emphasize this path of devotion without restricting it to a dualistic type of interpretation. Yeah. So that this dualistic interpretation is just when we have this body consciousness, when we feel this sense of ego, then we can have that relationship.
What is the time now?
Almost 9 o'clock, Maharaj.
Okay, so we'll stop now. Thank you very much. Thank you for your questions.
Uh,
Very nice questions. And satsangate nissangatvam. When we have satsanga,
yeah.
then we are really detached.
Yeah.
Then we understand what life is. And when we have nissangatta, then we are affirm in our principles. And then when we have affirm in our principles, then only we try to achieve it. And Jivan Mukta. And gradually we become, while living, we are free.